This is step 14 continued. You have just discussed with your partner the first piece that you need to build. I'm now going to show you how you go about building them. So if we start with the bottom piece, you need to envision that there's kind of a square around each of these drawings, right? So this side is 11 and this side is 8 1/4. So what I need to do is with my ruler, I'm going to measure out the square. So first I would take my line all the way to what it says here, which is 30 1/4, and I would make a mark. Then I have to come up to the top and I need to do 2 marks at 30 1/4, and this is how I make sure I get a straight line. Then I would make a mark going up to 11, come over to this side, and I make a mark going up to 11, and that got me the square. I know that on one side of my drawing, I do need it to actually be 11 inches. So this stays. But then on the other side, my directions tell me I need it to be 8 1/4, and I need that to be centered. So in order to get something in the center, I line up my ruler, and if this is 11, then I would go to half of 11, which is 5 1/2. From 5 1/2, then I like to move my ruler. I've got to take 8 1/4 and divide it in half, which gets me 4 1/8, and then I make a mark, and then I come over here to 4 1/8, and I make a mark. Once I have my 2 little dots or marks, then I can take my ruler and I lined it up one into the other and drew a cross. That got me my overall shape. You are seeing me use a Sharpie right now. That is only so that you can see it in the video. You always want to use pencil because that way it won't show through later. As soon as you draw out a piece, you need to label it, and then I highly recommend putting down the measurements as well so that you remember how big it is. Each group gets a piece of chipboard, and depending on what school you are at, you might get 1 per person or 1 per group. Either way, you need to be very efficient with how you use the chipboard. So you are always measuring from the corners, and when you do your next piece, you are always trying to figure out how to best fit it onto your chipboard so that you're not ending up having to duct tape pieces together at the end to get enough. So for me, I'm going to go using this exact same line, and this piece, the next piece I need to make, it's going to be 30 1/2, so I need to measure out, or 31 1/2, and go to 31 1/2. And then I learned from before, once I make 1 mark, I need to go make another one. 31 1/2. And then I line up my 2 marks to get a straight edge. Again, you are using pencil. I am not, simply so it shows up on the video. Then after I have that, I need to finish off my square. So I need to find the highest measurement I have, which is 13 3/4. So I need to measure at 13 3/4 on one side and make a mark. And then I always have to do 2 marks. So I come over to this side, 13 3/4, and make a mark. And then I draw it across. Now you and your partners will figure out that there are some people in your group that are just so good at this. Their brain just gets it. Well, then that's their job, is to measure all of this out. It is okay to say, for this particular task, I'm just a worker bee. What we never want is a group where one person is doing all the work and the other people are just watching them do the work. You know, if I'm measuring this out and my partner's not good at this, they could be cutting this piece out or putting pieces together. So always keep the project moving forward. Okay, once I have a box, then I can start to plan out where my different components go. And the more measuring you do, the better your sculpture will look. So when I got to this part, I wanted to know the angle of this and I wanted to keep it consistent. So all I did was I took my ruler and I lined up 2 rulers, and that allowed me to figure out that this was angled in 1/2 inch. I then could take that times my variable, which is 5.5, and that got me rounding to the nearest 1/4 of an inch to 2 3/4. So I know that needs to start angling in at 2 3/4, and then I make a mark. And then I know, actually, I should switch this. Nope, I'm doing it right. And then I know this component starts to straighten itself back up again, and that this line here occurs at 1 inch up. And so I took that times 5.5, and that told me that this next component is gonna stop at 5.5. I then kind of keep going up and around. If I make another box, I can see this is the top piece. So I don't need to know how high up it is, but I do need to know how far over, and that got me to 1.5. And you can keep going around your entire piece like this. Once you have all these marks and you draw it out, if you look at it and go, oh, that doesn't look right, you do not need to try and draw it again. At that point, you can ask for help. I am your art expert, and if you have done all the math correctly, then it is my job to step in and turn an oval into a circle, or to help you figure out the exact curve of something. So make sure that you're asking for help when you need it.